Somnium is a brand new film that you'll be able to check out on September 8th. It follows around an aspiring actress named Gemma that has just moved to Hollywood to follow her dreams to one day be a famous actress. Turns out there's a little bit more to it than that though, so to make ends meet in the meantime, Gemma takes up a part-time position at a revolutionary sleep clinic that offers its patients the ability to live out their wildest fantasies, meaning that this clinic can somehow control people's dreams. While there, she uncovers some unsettling things about the inner workings of the system. Alright, so this movie was an interesting watch, I'll give you that. My feeling as a whole is that I liked parts of it, disliked some others, and honestly probably would have approached the same movie entirely differently if I wrote it than what they did here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what they did was bad. On the contrary, there's enough psychological stuff going on throughout the movie that makes you think. And honestly, I really had to give it some time to mull over before I did this review. But let's start off with some of those positives. I think that the biggest thing going on for this film has to be vibe and aesthetic. This film is very dreamlike in atmosphere, which goes hand in hand obviously with the dichotomy between Gemma working at a literal dream clinic, all the while chasing after her dreams. That was a nice touch because there are mirroring themes going on throughout the entire movie that works extremely well. More than once I thought to myself that I knew what was going on, and more than once I was proven wrong. The film remains relatively unpredictable as well, so if you're a fan of Inception, particularly how it defined how dreams work, I think that you will at the very least appreciate what this film does. I often wondered, what if the whole thing is a dream, what's going on? So I was getting a little bit paranoid, and I think that was one of the main intentions of the filmmakers. Also, if you saw the trailer for this film, you will probably pick up on the horror themes. There's something about a tall, pale, terrifying creature in the trailer. This is both a good thing and a bad thing because on the surface, this creature was indeed fantastic. The look of it alone was good enough for me while watching the trailer to stop watching the trailer because I was already sold. I didn't need to see any more. This thing looked really cool. However, I'll also admit that I got the wrong idea about the film. I thought based off of the very broad description of the movie about dreams being made real and the imagery of this creature in the real world made me think that this was a horror film where nightmares came out to play. Kind of like with Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's not even remotely close. Do not, I repeat, do not go into this movie expecting horror. While the creature is in the movie, it's in there sparingly and it's almost always used as a metaphor. This is not a horror film. It has horror-esque sequences here and there, but 90% of the thing is more like a deep psychological drama than anything else. That unfortunately means that at least partially, I think that the film has some false marketing. Not a ton, but it's not as clear as it probably should be. I also think that the pacing of the film is a little bit much, since there's a lot going on in this young woman's life, whether you're talking about her tackling her current passion of auditioning for movies, connecting with producers, reminiscing about a past boyfriend, or trying to decipher the strange nature of the sleep clinic. This is all happening simultaneously, and they certainly attempt to juggle it in a coherent manner, but I do think that the film struggles a lot with that. So there are moments that feel slow, and then it'll suddenly be in nightmare mode again before jumping right back into the slower moments. It's a bit uneven, which is unfortunate because in general, I was 100% lured into the sleep clinic story. I wanted more of that. The story about her drive to be an actress was good too, but in a movie about a clinic that literally makes dreams come true, I expected her to end up as a patient of the clinic, either as a plot point, as something that she does out of desperation when her goal wasn't being realized, or even as a end twist, where we find out nothing was ever real, it was all a dream. Very tacky thing when it's done usually, I know. But for an entire movie to be based around controlling people's dreams and having it be so real that it messes with their heads when they wake up, like with Inception, I could have sworn that that would be the route that they would take. But it never happened. What does happen is still fine for what it's worth, but like in the movie Stranger Than Fiction, if you've seen it, Remember how Dustin Hoffman's character was telling Will Ferrell that he had to die at the end because the story that he's living out is a masterpiece. But what they end up doing was fine. You know, it wasn't as good, it was fine. And it's just like that in Somnium. I'm left a little bit disappointed, but at the end of the day, the ending is just fine. I'm going to give it 69 out of 100 possible stars. For me, that's a C+ letter grade. But what about you guys, though? Have you seen Somnium? Are you a fan of this film? Are you not? Leave your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review, whenever and whatever that may be on. And until then, peace out.